everybody, it's Shalene. Happy Merry Christmas in July. We are now doing Anne's page. Anne is now the hostess with the mostest for this coloring. And if you remembered, I had picked, and I still haven't finished that. Where's my page? I had picked the gingerbread house, and that is my finish. And then we did, Jen's was the sled, and I finished mine last night. I had finished all the coloring Friday, but last night I had to I wanted to use my Prismacolor pastels, but I thought I'm going to do something different this time and use my Neo 2s with my water brush and I didn't like how it came out, but now it kind of looks like a blizzard out there, snowstorm, so it's okay. And I used the Posca pen to put in like snowflakes. So that's how that came out. And this week we are working on Anne's picture, and she chose the nutcrackers, and I am going to be using my polychromos again. I have my favorite eraser, or my favorite sharpener for the polychromos. I have my little battery operated Derwent eraser. And since it's Anne's week, she will be telling her Christmas stories. I have told all my Christmas stories that I can remember, and I'm sure there's a few more here and there, but that's it's Anne's week. And you know her, she'll be doing karaoke for every video. So, since it was her week, got my iced tea, unsweetened iced tea. And today is July 16th, which is my 29th wedding anniversary. So, we're going to talk about my husband and I meeting, dating, and all that stuff since it's my anniversary. I hope you don't mind, it's not Christmassy. So, I have no clue what I'm going to color these, what colors I'm using or anything. But I know the first thing I'm going to do is the skin tones. Okay. It's this. I don't think. So, I met Scott through his sisters. Sorry, I had to go get my little container to put my shavings in. My uncle had gotten married when I believe I was young anyways. So my aunt is not blood, she is by marriage. Her best friend was Scott's sister. And so when my aunt would have like Tupperware parties or anything, and my mom and I would go, I had met Scott's two sisters and their mom. And I became friends with his one sister, Brenda. And she had gotten me Well, she had told me about where she worked. So when I graduated, she told me they were hiring where she worked, so I got a job there. I had gone in and I put my application in, and as I was leaving, one of the guys that I graduated with was in there and called my name, and I'm talking to him, and come to find out his father owned the company. And so I ended up getting the job, and I worked there for 5 years. It's factory work. It was okay. Anyways, I got to become good friends with Brenda, and at the time, they did not like Scott's girlfriend. Now, I knew who Scott's girlfriend was because she was a year ahead of me in school. Scott went to our rival school. I did not know him. I had never met him. But he knew who I was, because get this, he was a stalker. Got that right. And I didn't know anything about it. See, I used to hang out at the local roller skating rink, and I roller skated there all the time. It was 2 miles up the road from where I worked, and I would walk to the park with a friend, sometimes a couple of friends. We always made sure we had a ride home at 11 o'clock at night, but we would walk there because we'd walk like 7 o'clock. It was summertime, it's light out. And back then, teenage girls could walk the 2 miles and not have to worry about too much of anything. So I found out that Scott used to watch me roller skate all the time. And the funny thing is, he hung out with a friend of mine from school, and he asked my friend who I was. Do you think my friend had ever told me? Nope. I didn't find out till after I graduated all of this, and I hadn't seen my friend since graduation until 10 years ago, maybe, if that. Not even that, 9 years ago. And I asked Randy, why didn't you tell me about Scott and him asking about me and always watching me roller skate? And Randy said, because you had a boyfriend. Yep, because I had a boyfriend. I said, and you know that my boyfriend and I were always breaking up, getting back together. We had a lot of issues, 4 years of going on and off, on and off. I said, and you know that who Scott was dating. He said, come on now. So, yeah. Scott's sister, both the sisters and his mom, they would invite me over to their home when they had, like, family picnics and that, because they couldn't stand his girlfriend, so they didn't invite her. So Scott would tell her to stay home. She wasn't invited. Not very nice, is it? But he had a lot of issues with her, too. Anyways, when I finally got to meet Scott, I did not like him. Brenda said she wanted to go bowling one day after work. And I said, okay, sounds like fun. She says, well, I invited my brother. I said, okay. Yeah, because he's such a smartass and always has been, that when I met him, she introduced him to me. and he picked up his bowling ball and made a comment about the size of his balls, to compare him to the size of the bowling balls. And I thought, excuse my language, but I thought he was an asshole. Yep, didn't care for him. But he liked me right from the bat, and we became friends. And then him and his girlfriend broke up, and me and my boyfriend had broken up. So he asked me out, and our first date was at a fair. He bought me a coffee, well, it's really a teacup with a kitten on it, because I liked it, and I still have it. In fact, I wonder where, I haven't seen it. I wonder if it's in my curio cabinet. Anyways, we rode some of the rides at the fair, and we were up in the Ferris wheel, and I thought, well, this is weird. He hasn't even tried holding my hand. I'm not sure what this piece is here. If that's just resting on top of the head. That's what it looks like, and then just, I don't know. I'll have to look and see how somebody else colored that. I don't know why the dog is barking. Daenerys! So, we went to the fair, we had a good time, and he said, want to go to the bar. Hold on a second, I have to go see what she's barking at. I will be right back. I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know what she's barking at. She's looking underneath the porch. So I don't know if the cat's getting into a fight with something, or if she's barking at the new neighbor who's out mowing his yard. Anyways, we left the fair, and we went to one of the local bars. Now, Scott doesn't drink at all. He was known as the Coca-Cola boy all through high school, and was always the DD. Well, we were in the bar, and a good friend of mine from high school was in there with her boyfriend, who I had never met before, and I hadn't seen her in a year or two. So we sat with them, and my friend asked the guys if they wanted to dance with us. And Scott said, I don't fast dance, and her boyfriend didn't want to either. And so my friend, who does not realize this is my first date, and it wouldn't have mattered anyways what date it was, she asked the guys if they would dance with us, then we would play strip poker when we got back to her place after the bar. Yeah, I looked at her, and the guys walked away to go get drinks. And I looked at her and I said, "That ain't freaking happening." And she says, "Just go along with it." Like, I'm not doing that. And the guys danced with us. And they couldn't believe she said that. But we did end up going back to her place, and I think we played cards for a while, but we did not play strip poker. I told them, I am not playing strip poker. She was too funny. Scott was okay with it. So we sat up and we talked all night. I had a good time. I didn't get home till what, 2 or 3 in the morning, if later than that. I think it was later than that. But she just lived like a mile up the road from me. But I know Scott was unhappy with who he had been dating. And I had problems with the guy I was dating. So we started dating, for a little while, not real long. And he broke up with me to go back out with the ex. So I didn't go back to my ex right away. I started seeing a couple other people, just dating. And then Scott and his, I did end up back with my ex-boyfriend, and then Scott and his girlfriend had broken up again. And so then he starts calling my house. And I said, I am back with my boyfriend. Well, he didn't get the hint, and he kept calling my house. So eventually my boyfriend had found out that Scott was calling, and that didn't go over very well. So anyways, I ended back up with Scott. He was friends with 2 of my coworkers, and he would send like love letters through them to give to me at work. That I was the type of person he wanted to spend the rest of his life with, and just real mushy, his feelings on his sleeve. And I had dated this other guy for 4 years, and I didn't get any of that kind of stuff from him. And I thought, well, maybe I should give Scott a try and start dating him. But I was still a little leery because he had already hurt me once to go back with his ex. So we started dating. We'd go to the movies, we'd go out for dinner. I had a really good time. And I loved to go out in the bars and dance all night. So we did that a lot on Fridays and Saturday nights. And we'd either run into a group of my friends to hang out with, or we would find a group of his friends to hang out with. And both of us got along with each other's group of friends. So we had started dating in March, seriously, in '85. And he gave me my engagement ring in July of '85. Should have kept that color out. Now I don't know what color I used. And I told him that I wanted to stay engaged before we got married for at least a year, maybe 2 years, to get to know each other better. And he was fine with that. So that's what we did. We went camping. We went to Niagara Falls for a weekend. And it worked out for us. And I wanted a simple wedding. I wanted an outdoor wedding, so that I knew. But I wanted the reception inside because I don't do well in the heat. So I already knew that being a summer wedding. And I don't know why I chose summer, because autumn's my favorite season. So I don't know if it's because it's typically when everybody gets married. And the dress I had been eyeing was through JCPenney, and it went for $250 back then. And it went on clearance for $90. So I hurried up and grabbed that. And then right after I got it, it went even down to $75, but I got a good deal on my dress. We had a DJ. We got married by a justice of the peace because neither one of us went to church. His parents did, mine didn't. And we didn't want a big lawn type of ceremony, so that's what we did. Justice of the peace. We got married at a local park that had a pond, and in the middle of the pond was an island, and you could walk across the bridge to get to the island. So we got married on the island, and it poured all morning. And I told my mom and sister stop worrying because they were worried. I am usually a worrywart. I did not worry on my wedding. I told them that God was not going to let it rain on my wedding. It'll stop. Well, sure enough, it stopped. And it got humid and hot out. Awful, awful. It was in the 90s, very humid. I wore a high neck lace collar, long sleeves, lace sleeves, and I was dying. We had good food for the reception. Every time Scott would get a drink, because he did want a couple drinks. He does, like I said, he doesn't normally drink. Every time he had a drink, he'd set it down and it would end up missing. So we don't know who kept taking his drinks away. It was funny though. It's just like Scott doesn't normally drink. We went camping for our honeymoon at the Thousand Islands in New York. We had a tent and we had a good time, and then towards the end it was raining, and it was supposed to keep raining for a few more days. So we came home like 2 days early because of the weather. And so 29 years later, we are still together. We did hit a rough patch like probably most marriages do, but we weathered through it. A little bit of counseling by my pastor. That's from lack of communication. So I always tell people communication is a must. He has always spoiled me. We live in the same place. We bought one of my grandparents' places. They had their name in for a like a, not retirement home, but independent living place. And they had their name in for a couple years, and then my grandfather had passed away, so my grandmother was finally able to move in, so we bought this from her. And we were only going to be here for like 10 years because it's a trailer. It's on its own land. We're out in the country. We're not in a park. I couldn't live in a trailer park. I couldn't. I don't like having a lot of neighbors. So we bought this, and our goal was to only be here for 10 years and either pull it out and put in a double wide. That's mostly what our goal was. Well, I ended up quitting my job and then raising the boys. And I was a stay-at-home mom, so we didn't have a lot of money. Scott's always been a hard worker, He got a second job not too long after Justin was born so that I could stay home with the boys. When they started preschool, Justin started when he was 4. I volunteered once a week. It was half a day. A bus, the small bus came and picked him up. And brought him back home. So I think that you could start going to this preschool program. It was through the county. It was paid for by taxpayers. And they go by if there's some kind of, what do you call it? Some kind of disability. Speech or physical. So the boys not being brought up with stairs didn't know how to put one foot in front of the other on the stairs. They'd put a foot down on the step, put the other one down next to it. Go down a step, put the other foot down next to it. So they didn't go up, 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 up. They went up, 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 down, down, down. So because they did that, they considered that a disability. So Justin started when he was 4 and he loved it. The program was great. They had great teachers. He made some friends. Justin's always been more of my quiet child. But he really enjoyed this program. So then we found out they start taking them at 3 years old, because the morning classes are for 3-year-olds and then the afternoon class is for 4-year-olds. So when Dylan reached 3, they put him down as the same way. Plus he had one foot that kind of curved in a little bit. So they put him down as having a physical challenge. Actually, both boys, I believe, had the one foot turned in, because I would have to turn their foot the other way every time I changed their diaper. I'd have to take their foot and then move it, and I just had to work with them. So I did that every time they had a diaper change. So Dylan started it when he was 3, and he's more outgoing than Justin. He's not afraid to walk up to anybody and start talking to them. And he made a lot of friends in the preschool program. And I volunteered once a week for him too. So he got to go for 2 years. He got to keep the same teacher. And the second year, I was informed that his classroom was being moved to another location. Do I want to keep him in the location he's at now, or keep the same teacher he had and just move to the new location? And so I left it up to Dylan, and Dylan said he really liked his teacher. You know, you explain to a 4-year-old the best you can what's going on, what your options are. And he wanted to keep the same teacher. And I said, okay, so we did, and I still volunteered once a week. So I thought it would be an awesome program for Carson, so I talked to his speech therapist, and nope, that program's no longer available because of funding. So that's too bad, because it was really good. It was a great program for the kids. To get them prepared for school and to help out. Like Dylan worked with an anger management, and she would come to our house and talk to us. I really liked her. I probably won't continue coloring this. On camera, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. So, yep, then Dylan was in his first year of the preschool program, and Justin had started kindergarten, and I had volunteered to help out in that classroom once a week. So I did stay busy, not working outside of the home. And then I got involved with the PTO book fair. I loved the PTO book fair. So I always volunteered to work the lunch hours, because those were the busiest. The kids would come in either before lunch or after lunch, and we were always busy. And then when Dylan went to the middle school, Justin, he doesn't say anything. So when Dylan went up to the middle school, he said, they don't have the book fair in the middle school. And I said, well, they should, because the PTO gives the middle school teachers money for field trips. So why don't they have the book fairs? Dylan said, I don't know, but my friends all miss the book fairs. So let me see what I can do. So I met up with the PTO, and they said, well, they didn't have anybody to run it anymore in the middle school. And I said, well, that's too bad, because these kids want the books. I said, and the teachers are getting money from the book fair, from the PTO, from the book fair and that. They should be supporting the scholastic book fairs. So they said, well, when they did have them, they had them in the old auditorium / gym, but people forget it's there. because the doors are always closed. So I talked to some of the middle grade teachers, and I said, you have this big foyer between the middle school and the high school upstairs. Why can't we have the book fair there? And they said that's a good idea. Now this is for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Okay, so this is outside of the 6th grade classroom. 7th and 8th grade were down past the foyer. So the first book fair I ran it. I'd go to the elementary school, pick up the money box, and I would have it opened all day. But I was only getting the 6th grade teachers. And I said, this isn't right. And the 7th and 8th grade teacher said, we don't have time to let the kids out of the classroom to come look at the books. It's funny, though, because they seem to have their hands out when they want money from the PTO. That just irritated me. So then I talked to the principal. The principal came up, and she says, how's it going? And I said, well, it seems to be that only the 6th graders are buying the books. The 7th and 8th grade teachers don't have time to let the kids out of the classroom. And I gave her the whole spiel. I said, now I have an idea, and you'll have to talk to Rex. Rex is the custodian. He's the one that set up the cases and everything for me. When the trucks drop everything off, he brings it up on the elevator and brought it all up for me. I said, so what if I set up in the one section of the cafeteria and only sell during lunchtime? I said, then I will get all of the grades and not just the 6th graders. And the principal said, that's a great idea. Let's talk to Rex and see what he thinks. And he's like, yeah, we have room. He goes, we can move some of the lunch tables down further so they're not in your way. There's no reason why you can't be set up during lunchtime. So I said, okay, only during lunch hours. I told the principal that I'll just be open during lunch hours. It worked out great. But it got to be so busy. And then we got the kids that have learning disabilities, and the teachers would bring them over. And some of them can't speak very well. And I had to learn what they were asking and what they were saying. And I learned to work with those teachers and help the kids out. And it was great. I loved it. I loved the whole thing. I got to know more of the kids in the high school. So I did that for 3 years. I think 3 years. And then Scott and I were having some troubles, and I needed to get a job. So I couldn't do that anymore, and that broke my heart. And nobody else would take it over at the high school. But it worked great. Rex would call me every time. Because the Scholastic Book Fair was in the spring and in the fall. And so I would call Scholastic. I would talk to whoever I'm supposed to. This is, I'm part of the PTO. I run it at the high school. This is what we need. And I worked with the same person. If I ran out of something one day, it would be shipped the next day to the fair. And I missed it when I had to get a job. I got to know the teachers. There was one, was he a senior or a junior when I started? Him and his friends would come and pick on me. They were nice. They were nice. They were picking on me cute-wise, not mean. Come on, have you got any porn? I said, no, we don't have any porn. Oh, come on. And they'd pick on me. And one of them would bring me a pretzel rod every day and come sit down and talk with me. And it was really fun. I got to know the kids. So when I had to get a job and couldn't do that anymore, it about broke my heart. And I got called Mrs. Dillon's mom. Are you Mrs. Dillon's mom? I said, yes. Well, I don't know your name, so we call you Mrs. Dillon's mom. And I said, well, I'm Mrs. Tolan, the same as Dillon's last name. And they, you know, it's sad but true. And his one friend said, yeah, but a lot of my friends' moms don't have the same last name. So we didn't know. It's just I have the same last name. I love the book fairs. I got my kids were, I always told them they were allowed to spend so much money. And the one in the spring was always buy one book, get one free. And so we would stock up on books for the summer because my boys were made to read in the summertime. They couldn't sit in front of the TV all day. They weren't allowed, they had video games, but I didn't allow them to sit on them all day either. If they wanted an hour of a video game, they had to read an hour in a book of books. And that worked out good. And if it was a really hot and humid day, the only room that had air conditioner was my bedroom. So we would take a stack of their books and a couple of mine, and we'd hang out in my bedroom all day reading. And they'd bring some toys in, and Dylan loved audiobooks. They were, I think back then they were just cassettes, and he would play with his toys and just listen to audiobooks. Loved it. And even as teenagers, they weren't allowed to just sit in front of the TV or play video games. They had to read. Now Justin, he was my biggest reader. He read all the time. He loved to read. Dylan, it was like pulling teeth sometimes. And now Justin doesn't read, and Dylan loves to read ebooks. He reads faster. The Harry Potter books, though, he listened on audiobook and absolutely loved it. He said that it was so cool. Where are we at? 49 minutes. And both boys were in sports for a little bit. Justin was in baseball for a couple of years, but he hated it. He hated baseball. He was afraid of getting hit. And one day the coach said, I'll pitch to you. You won't get hit. You'll be fine. Didn't the coach hit him with the ball? Yeah, that didn't go over too well. So Justin says, I don't like baseball anymore. I don't want to play it. And I said, that's fine. He had to finish the year out. That was fine. He did like soccer. He did start soccer out in kindergarten and played for a few years. And then when they started doing tournaments and had to go against the other schools instead of, you know, when they're little, they just have teams from their own school. But when they got out into, I don't know what the nose is supposed to be. Anne colored hers black. Yeah, Justin was in soccer, but he didn't like we had a couple of schools that are very nasty, and he didn't like that. So he stopped playing soccer. And then he got involved in track for a couple of years and absolutely loved track. So he did track for the last couple years of high school. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be that green color. I think that's what that is. And Dylan played baseball from kindergarten up to 9th grade. And then he hated the coaches, so he wouldn't play baseball anymore. And it's sad because Dylan was really good. So because I didn't work, I was able to go to all these games and pick them up from practice and all that. So oh, it's 52 minutes already. Well, I got one nutcracker just about done. And you found out about my dating and engagement stuff. Scott didn't propose to me like anything special. He took me shopping to pick out rings. So when he ordered the ring, they told him what day it was coming in. It would be ready to be picked up. So instead of saying to me that he had wanted to propose somewheres, I assumed I was going with him when the ring was being picked up. So I went with him, and I didn't find out till a few months later that that's not what he wanted. I said, well, you have a voice, you should have used it. So no special proposal. Okay, I'm gonna go look up some pictures of nutcrackers to get ideas of other colors. But that one looks good so far. What do you think? Yeah? What do you think? Zoom in. Yeah? Does that look okay? Cool. So that's it for today. It is 20 after 2, Sunday afternoon. I need to now get up the energy and start organizing all this color and stuff, because you want to see it. This is my coffee table. Let's see if I can show you. This is my coffee table. Yeah, told you I was disorganized. Yep, I need to find a place for all of it. Plus, this is my one couch. I'm trying. Look it. Yeah. Yep, it took over. Told you it took over. And I have 2 other couches here, which it didn't take over them. But yeah, it definitely needs to be taken care of. I need to really weed out through my bookshelves so I can find room for the color and stuff. That's my plans for today and tomorrow. I will color some more But cleaning is taking precedence over coloring. I gotta try to put everything back. So I hope you liked my little story today. It wasn't Christmassy because I already did all that. And it's Anne's turn to be Christmassy. So I will talk to you all later. I am hoping to start doing my other videos starting tomorrow. So hopefully Monday will be Marker Monday. I will pull out all my markers and my freebie folder that's full and use the markers on the freebies, because that's what I used to do. So that's it for today. I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.